we're live. We're live. You can't do it, Peggy. You can't change up. We are on the air. Millions and millions or two viewers are watching us as we speak. So you should have taken care of that before we started. Do you need to do it? Raise your hand, and I'll call timeout, and we'll just
No,
and we'll.
I would really like it if you would check the chat in case people have questions. That's all.
I always do.
All
I
right.
always do, and I'm watching it right now. Thank you. So, hey everyone, welcome. Yeah, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Backstory. I am out. I came out to California to see my sister and see some buddies, and I just got back from Tahoe and turned $100 that would have gone into alcohol consumption, turned it at the slot machine into $350 or $360.
Great. Now you have a gambling problem.
Yes, exactly. I do another show right after this. Take it. I don't know, but yeah, back to the. No, you know what? I hate gambling because I hate losing money. But it's something I was up there with some friends, and um, they see me coming because they give me a win, and then they know I'll go back with the big money, and I'll make and I'll lose house pay. So real quick, I'm so excited. This guest, Lisa Grace. I haven't made this public. Some people know, but and it's been 2022 has been a brutal year. I am going through, and it actually gets finalized here in a couple weeks, a divorce after 32 years of marriage. It's a word I swore I would never say. Uh, it happens to other people, not me. It's been a brutal year, and there's a whole. We can get into that at another time, but it's interesting because I think sobriety was instrumental in, and it made me have to face feelings and deal with things that I used to drink away.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the dynamic, but it's been a brutal year, and I haven't made that public. But yeah, it's after 32 years of marriage, crazy. I mean, you've seen the tears behind the scenes. I try not to do it in public, but it's been tough. So I am so thrilled. Lisa Grace, just introduce. I'm going to bring her in, but who she is and how you met her, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
sure.
Lisa, I got to move you over to the middle because you're the star. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Peggy.
I'm super excited. It's so cool because we have the trilogy of Sacramentans here tonight. Jeff is originally from Sacramento, so he's out here with us. But I'm really excited because one of the things that we do after we get sober or we stop drinking or we're no longer drinking is that we have this secondary, it's almost like the emotional sobriety, is that we put down the glass, we're not drinking anymore, and what's next? And that is actually the most exciting part, I think, about not drinking is our worlds open up. And I met Lisa, I hope you don't mind, through Sober Sis.
Oh.
And have worked with her on our Sober in the City projects too. And we're actually friends and really care about each other. And I'm so excited because people stop drinking and what's next, right? What's next? And I love how you turned putting down the drink into a full-time business. So I'm just going to start with that. Tell us a little bit about your story and what brought you here to this point.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff and Peggy. Jeff, thank you for coming out of the closet on your divorce. I know it's not easy. I've been there, done that. But my story started, my sober days started April 23rd of 2020 when I signed up for a 21-day reset with Sober Sis. And little did I know how life-changing that was going to be for me. I had been through a divorce. I had volunteered in my church as a divorce care facilitator. And I really knew that I had a heart for women going through divorce. But I just didn't know exactly what that meant. And so that lingered for about 10 years, that feeling of wanting more, but not sure what to do. Putting down the drink changed everything for me, in that it allowed me to have clarity eventually. It allowed me to start asking my question, what is next? I'm retired from a school district job of 26 years. I have a retirement. I'm remarried. I have grandchildren. I should just be out playing. And, but my calling, my nudge was to create a divorce arena for women to heal from divorce, or heal from the grief from divorce. And so how that transpired is, after I went through the 21-day reset and then AFL, met some wonderful women, became a life coach, and then started coaching for Sober Sis. And that in itself started the seed for, I really like helping women. I'm doing it in real time now. And so, but I don't want to stay in the sober environment. I want to get into an avenue of divorce, because I think many of us drink because we aren't happy, but we aren't happy because we have unresolved emotional pain. And so I became a certified divorce coach. And then recently I've become a grief recovery specialist. And
Hey, Lisa,
yes.
what is the percentage? I had heard, when I obviously going through mine, that there was a high percentage of marriages that have issues with divorce, whatever, through sobriety, or as a result of sobriety. What are the numbers on that?
Well, because one stops drinking and one is still drinking, or
Well, I guess just as a whole, I'm just curious, because someone had said, Jeff, it surprised me, because I've heard that marriages that, whether it's one or both, I don't know what the numbers are, that, someone gets sober, that the relationship suffers. So I'm just curious.
well, many of my clients drank because they were unhappy in their marriage. And when they stop drinking, the clarity comes, their strength comes back, and they start realizing that that's not what they want. And they actually do follow through on the divorce instead of staying stuck. And so they actually start feeling the feels. They actually start thinking, no, this isn't the life I want. So a lot of times we numb short-term energy relieving behaviors. We drink to cover up the pain. And when you take that away, I have many clients that, my number one goal isn't for people to get divorced. That's not why I'm in business. I'm actually hoping that somehow, some way, they can save a marriage. But if they go through the steps to evaluate their decisions, and that's where I come along. I help them make these, I help them as a think partner, and help them make informed decisions that serve them best based on who they would be, that future self. Who are you going to be when this is behind you? And so if your question is, when you get sober, do you end up usually finding clarity about your marriage? Yes. I'm
Well,
truly.
we know that alcohol is not the problem; it's the solution. And
Correct.
again, it doesn't work. But I love this, because my social worker heart. One of the biggest issues in my career was marriage issues, custody issues, and the one thing I love about you, besides I just love you, is your viewpoint on divorce. Is that can we get to a place where we have peace, right? Because we're always going to co-parent, even as they get, my kids are almost all in their 40s now, and we're still co-parenting. And I have to say, there's so many things I did wrong, but the part I did right was hanging in there and figuring out a way to co-parent our children, because I was a product of divorce, and it really was sort of the core for me to grow up later and use alcohol as a solution. So I love that. Can you tell me about how it became your heart? Because I know what you're doing is your heart, and I wish in my career that I had someone like you, because we love them once, right? We love them, and there's something we sort of owe to them. Like, I don't want to go around saying my husband's a shithead, because then I have a bad picker, right? Right? He's the father of my children. I have a lot of respect for him. We didn't work out, but that's not our kids' fault. So I don't know if any of that made sense, but
It does, Peggy. When I got married, my first marriage, I know that I had wounds from childhood. I'm not going to go back. I was, wounded this, that, but I wasn't the person I needed to be fully and completely whole going into that marriage. And I think a lot of us don't do that. So if we have a loss of a parent, a loss of a child, a loss of this, we come into marriages already broken. And so then you have two broken people. Somewhere, somehow, I decided that I wasn't going to be bitter. I wasn't going to hang on to unforgiveness, but that didn't happen right away.
Yeah.
But I had met many a woman or a man who talks smack about their ex. And that's the first, anyone who wants a dating tip, if someone you're dating talks smack about their ex, you want to run, because that's what you're going to have the rest of your relationship. But I know that when I considered the option of forgiving my ex-husband, not for him, but for me, and I had to understand that forgiving didn't mean condoning. And so for my whole lifetime, I thought forgiveness meant condoning.
Right.
And when I separated the two and I realized that forgiveness was for me, not for him, then I started healing. And
I think if Jeff, this happened last, and I was shocked. I didn't see it coming, and we're really good friends. So I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. However, I've never heard Jeff say one negative thing about.
No, I never will. And if someone says anything bad about her, there's going to be an issue. But Lisa, my struggle, and of course, these are all reasons you drink. And I look back at this past year, and I'm really amazed that I didn't. And part of it is having friends like Peggy that I can call and cry to and beg her not to tell people that she heard me cry. But for me, it wasn't an animosity towards her. It was a complete animosity towards the guy in the mirror for doing this. I failed the kids. I failed her. I failed it. The guilt was totally at me, and that's what I struggle. That's my struggle is, looking at the mirror saying, "Hey, way to go, nice job, buddy. You did a great move here. You only because of the collateral damage because of it."
That's why I became a grief recovery specialist, because it's a process of going through unsaid emotional communications and offering apologies. And it doesn't have to be, I know you said that you apologized to your daughter. This process of 7 weeks is with a specialist, and it's like completing, not closure, completing the current pain that you have, letting that go and starting fresh from this day forward with those new communications that you have for your family members, your ex-wife, and all of that. And so we have still the process of completing the wounds, completing the lost expectations. So I'm sure you still have those, Jeff, what you thought it would have been. And that the disappointment that you probably think your children still have.
100%.
Yeah. And so we all do. And that somehow, if we don't get underneath that, there's the potential in my mind that we could slip. You know, I can tell you that I had recently, so I did this grief recovery method, and it's part of my divorce coaching. I had this grief recovery method where I actually chose my ex-husband to do this program on. And I issued forgivenesses and apologies and significant emotional statements, because not everything is bad.
Nope.
And as a result, I had an interaction with him in the last few days where he's his old self and he's seeing me as my old self. And he's saying things, just things that I would have internalized and tried to chew on and make it my fault and this, that, and the other. But I didn't. I didn't do that. And what he says doesn't define my identity. Before it did. Everything he said and everything I heard was, if somehow I could have been different, better, or more, then I could have saved my marriage. But I don't do that because I've released it. I've completed it. I've completed that emotional pain. So how's that landing for you?
You're hitting a lot of bingos and slaps to the face. You know, I was the lousiest communicator on the planet. So issues that should have been addressed. You know, I'm 58 right now. Issues that should have been addressed when I was 28,
Mm-hmm.
not at 58. And I didn't learn to communicate until I got sober. You know, which is it was coming up on 3 years next week, Peggy, February 3rd. But anyways, no, but it was I didn't and alcohol allowed me to deal with the pain of not communicating because I didn't put the problem out where it could be addressed. I kept it in here and I drowned it with alcohol, which works for the night. And now tomorrow morning, now I just have a perfect reason to drink again because of the guilt or the pain. You know, it just well now I am in so much pain. I deserve to drink. I mean, you know this. It just snowballed. But
Right.
I never alcohol kept me from ever getting it out. And it wasn't until I stopped drinking that these emotions or these feelings, I couldn't hide from them anymore because I didn't have alcohol. I had to face them. They were like there. And maybe the only option I had was to say to her, hey, blah, blah, blah is dry. You know, I can't take it anymore. I've got to state this. And sobriety forced me to feel these things, face these things, and the only solution I had was the one I should have done 30 years ago, which was talk about them. But I used alcohol for, I had horrible anxiety and panic attacks, and it became medicinal for that, and it became medicinal for then anything, any discomfort. I went to alcohol. It worked until it stopped working, and then it brought all of its other good buddies along to wreak havoc on my life.
In theory, it works, but in theory, it's not working. You know,
Right.
it's never working. All the times that alcohol, though it's a cover up. It's a cover up from what's underneath. And so I'm coming up on 3 years, April 23rd. And I added a comma, Peggy, on January 28th. You know, that's a thing. January 18th.
Yeah.
It's a thing. I didn't know it was a thing.
I think Jeff and I actually made it up and it's sort of spread around.
Well, I like it. I like it.
You earned your comma.
Yeah.
The comma club.
The comma club. But what I like about life is that even at our ages,
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more for us. You
Yeah.
know what you're doing, Peggy, what you're doing, Jeff, what so many of us are doing, uh, and we're wanting to be of service to others, and that's my job. My mission
Yeah.
is to help women. That's why one of your questions is, why, how to second act coaching. Well, I believe we all have a second act in
Mhm.
us,
That's beautiful.
and it's the best is yet to come. So that's my official business name, is Second Act, the best is yet to come. And I'm a faith-based coach. I believe that we can, that our struggles are chosen for us, and that we have an opportunity to show that those struggles can be used for good, and that as a human being, as a woman, as a man, that we are striving to show people that they can do things differently than the same old way.
I love it. We have a comment in the chat from our faithful Kathleen Chambers, and she says this is so encouraging, and it really is. I have a question that's not on here. It just came
That's
up.
fine.
What are do you have plans in the future, maybe to work with adult children? Because I think that's and maybe it's just because I feel so guilty, right? I feel like my divorce had a pretty negative effect on my kids, and I promised myself I would never get divorced, and here I am on number 3. So do you ever see yourself expanding? Because you have such a great spirit, and I just think about, because we think we caused it. I think my behavior caused my parents' divorce, right? I mean, I don't think that anymore, because putting down the wine glass has made me understand that my parents did what they could do. They had a capacity at the time, and alcohol was definitely part of my family culture. But you just have a gift of normalizing feelings, and you're so gentle, and I just think, wow, maybe my dream for Jeff, this is, I hope his family doesn't kill me, but my dream for Jeff is to have him and his ex-wife and their 4 kids sitting in one room together, because if they could see what I see 2 beautiful adult, Jeff and his ex-wife, and then their 4 beautiful children, and just to have somebody sort of facilitate and get that, get their feelings out, because I know eventually Jeff's son will come around. I mean, look at Jeff; he's such a great guy. But again, I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied tonight, but I don't know.
Well, and I know all of that is true, and I know that we will get there, and we're committed to it, and that's. But what, Lisa, what the second act, and this is something that I need to get better at in a lot of areas of this in my life. I look at the destruction, I focus on that, and I need to focus forward on the second act, because that's that's something that I just in life, I look backwards and I just see all this crap, and it's just like I beat myself up on over it, and I lose sight of why. So I just look at the negative and harp on that, and it really is, there is a second act, and that's what that can be if it's done right. I mean, I still there's issues. No one, I'm not going to be. People aren't going to say, "Oh, Dad, it was the greatest thing." Looking back now, I'm so happy that you divorced. That's not going to happen. But I can turn, if I can turn that. I'm already trying, because one thing I'm telling my kids is talk. That's the one thing I want you to get out of this is talk. And it was on me. This was all on. This is the problem was a one-sided problem. I didn't know how to communicate. I look back at my parents, and how was school? Fine. End of discussion. instead of talking about it. I didn't know how to do it. And when
either, right? So I'm going to definitely let Lisa address this, but that's what we learn. And I think that's what Lisa teaches a lot is that, it's not how was school, because you don't ask a yes or no question. You ask, no question is neutral in its effect. So, but what we do is we learn, our parents didn't have the time to learn what a good question was. And so instead of saying, how was school today? Fine or not fine. Tell me one thing what stood out for you today in school. It didn't have to be, it could be something on the playground. It could be something in class, but what did you learn today? What's one thing that you learned that you didn't know this morning when you went to school? And I think that's what coaching does. I coach social workers. Lisa coaches grief and divorce. So I thought maybe you might want to talk about that, Lisa.
Well, your question was, so number one, you learn more by when you don't talk. And so when we have a heart with ears for our children, which is something that I have been doing recently with my daughter, she finally relaxed enough to know that I wasn't going to react to the things that she said, that I finally was brave enough to have her tell me the disappointment that I might have caused.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I have a heart with ears, Haley. I'm good, because I had done some work prior. And so I had no regret, but the one thing I wanted to give her was the ability to say what she needed to say.
Yeah.
And that was a gift to her and to me. So when we talk less and listen more to our children, because in the past I used to start making excuses for myself, this and that and the other, but I no longer do that. I'm just like, I want to know you, daughter. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to see what I can do to make a better future. And so as far as a blended family goes, that you want to see Jeff and his family, that is the hope, for all of us, to have a beautiful blended family. Mm-hmm. And it is possible, especially when we forgive ourselves. I had done some work prior. 100% we have to also do some work on forgiving ourselves.
Yeah, and that's something that I can't even. I know I struggle with that because I was the one that left. I was the one that did these things. I'm the one that caused. So it's tough to. It is tough to not blame, And
yeah, everything
for
is
me. It's no, it is. It's for me. It's not why I did it, and I don't want to get into those issues on this. But why I did it, I'll stand by. How I did it. I didn't have divorce for dummies. I didn't anticipate. That wasn't in the plan. So it's the how I did it that I really, that's where the regrets are.
How many of us are experts at divorce and doing it right? None of us.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
It's not like you put on your shoes and your pants and your shirt. It's not like you make coffee in the morning. It's something that we don't do. And so none of us have a book to do it right. However, that's the reason that I became a coach, is so that I can at least hopefully provide options, mm-hmm. thought processes, but Jeff, you're not the first person that has done it, however it is that you did it. My daughter had the opportunity to tell my ex-husband that she thought what he did was the most selfish thing he could have ever done. And, but she got it out. And he listened, and he didn't give that. I was proud of him that day. Oh, he took that well. But, it's their perception of what's happening. And if we allow them to say that and get it out, then we can move forward. So, did I answer your question, Peggy?
Yeah. What's the best compliment you've received since you started coaching?
Well, from a client, I was able to attend my son's wedding and be fully present. And so I have a client who was going through a divorce and it's not final, but I coached her in staying present, to do a census check-in, to look at the beauty. I also said there are no do-overs. You don't get to do this over. And so she kept those mantras, those little things at hand. And so she said that was the best day ever, her son's wedding. But the best compliment, since it's not related to my coaching, but my daughter said, because of your coaching, because of the work that you're doing yourself, Mom, I'm proud of you.
Wow.
So that is my best compliment. Is for my daughter.
So good. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would say that the struggles are real, and that the struggles are chosen for me, and that the lessons I'm going to learn are going to be able to help others, and that no struggle is wasted. That's what I would say. So to embrace it and be curious is what I would say.
It's so hard because I didn't. Peggy, I just did a thing on ego and pride, and this was about asking for help in sobriety. But I can relate to this with Lisa. I didn't want to go up to our pastor at church and say, hey, I'm struggling in my marriage. Oh, I made I wasn't going to go to my kids. Maybe I should have with a lot of them, but my pride kept me from, hold my breath and maybe this will go away. Hold my breath. You can make it one more day. Just this will pass. You just got to get tougher and looking back, whether that's sobriety or my issues with alcohol or a struggle in a marriage.
Well, I support you now.
I can only hold my breath so long.
There's a book that I'm reading that I've read. It's called Life-Saving Divorce. So sometimes divorce is life-saving. And so however you did it, you did it. But I feel that it was life-saving to you and to your family. Now there just needs to be some additional healing.
Yeah.
The second act that I see you growing into is phenomenal. The fact that you are This Naked Mind coach and you're helping men is fabulous, because the men need you. And you may not have found your path if you had stayed the course. I'm not saying that, there's more to the story than Peggy and I will ever know with you, but there's no judgment. Probably you're just judging yourself, but there's no judgment. Divorce happens. Divorce will always happen. And I absolutely have, you mentioned church, and so many of us stay married because we believe that God hates divorce. And so I have an ebook on my website that explains what that really means, if anyone wants to go and download it. And it's not what people think. It's pretty amazing. It's very
nobody ever walks down the aisle and says I do, and in 32 years I'm going to get a divorce.
No one.
Peggy, I think you said something, but yeah, I didn't go to you as close and great a friend as you are because I was embarrassed about failing in front of you, and you're one of my best friends. That's a and if I had done that 2 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever, things could be different, but they are what they are.
I really truly believe this because, again, for all of us that got sober later in life, I'm older than you, but still, we got sober past our 50s, is that, yeah, we should have, but you know what? We're exactly where we're supposed to be. And I absolutely believe that. If I hadn't gone through all the things that I've gone through, I couldn't be the kind of, I don't call myself an influencer, but I'm exactly where I need to be.
You're a hope giver, Peggy. You provide hope. You provide a hope for so many. You provided hope to me. And
thank you. That means a lot to me. I hope I don't upset you when I say this, but I know you just lost your mom. And I saw a picture of you and your mom and your daughter, which was just, your mom's was one of the prettiest older women I think I've ever seen. I mean, hands down. What would she say about Lisa Grace?
She would say that she's proud of me and that she taught me everything I know.
I love that.
And she would be joking, but that would be her humor, and that she would just be so proud that so on her deathbed, because I was with her, she says, "I've loved you from the day you were born." So that's what she would say.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I have goosebumps.
Yeah. So, a mother's love, and I know you lost yours, Peggy. It's something to cherish, but I'm telling you that it wasn't all roses.
No, I know. I mean, I know that. I don't even really know, honestly. I don't remember my mother. So, and so when I saw the three of you together, I have this kind of good jealousy, right? That, that you can take a picture like that. So, is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't asked you?
That if anyone is, struggling with a marriage, struggling with pain, struggling from post-divorce, and they're just finding that their happiness level is not quite there, that there is help out there. And I really believe that we all have a purpose and a calling, and we all have we are the boots on the ground to make a difference. And so we're all difference makers, every last one of us, even the people even listening to us. And so my goal is to help people believe in themselves so strongly that they say, "What's next?" and that they create a vision for themselves for their future, and they're excited to move forward. And I believe that divorce is life-saving.
Well, what you're painting is something that, in a tough situation, we need hope. And if this horrible D word, if I can live this the right way, and I can give, for my goals, or I can still maintain some good stuff there and give to my kids and be a part of that. If I can do that, that gives me hope that I can turn a bad situation that probably would have gotten a lot worse into a tough situation that turned out pretty good. Not that it's a happy ending necessarily, but yeah, it's a lot happier ending than it could have been. So hearing hope, for people knowing this isn't the end, there is a second act. I love that.
Yeah, I absolutely love the name. I absolutely love it.
With endings, there's always new beginnings.
Yeah.
Remember that.
When God closes a door, he opens a window. So,
yep.
How can people?
Real quick, wait, Lisa, hold on, Peggy. Someone just said, and the thing, got a friend going through a divorce right now. She's no longer on Facebook. Is there a way to send her a link to this interview? Any one of us, my email, my direct message, I will send you the link to the recording of this. If you get a hold of Peggy, that's fine. If you get a hold of Lisa, I will send you the link. But
Okay.
I will have the link tomorrow. It'll download tonight. But if anyone wants to watch this, just get a hold of any one of the three of us, and I will make sure the link gets sent to you.
Yeah,
so,
Lisa's information is in on the.
Yeah, well, Lisa, I will get the link to you. You will have it tomorrow to share with whoever you want as well. It's got to download after this, but I'll make sure so if anyone needs it.
What a gift you are, Lisa. Thank you so much for being with us, and I love these kind of interviews because it is what you it is the second act, right? We put down the glass and what's next, and it's just one of the biggest gifts of life ever, that we sort of have this do-over, and it's just it's a gift. Not everyone gets to do what the three of us are doing.
We send this message with sobriety or living alcohol free, because I thought everything about sobriety or take alcohol is a red light in my life. It's over. My fun is over. My socializing, everything about it is a red light, is how I saw life without alcohol. And I realize now, no, it's a freaking brightest green light I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty
good. And this is, so there's a fear that this is the end of happiness. And I love this. This is we're passing this on in a tough situation.
Yeah, I'm going to say again, it's not happiness, it's wholeness. And we always have that conversation. But thank you so much. Lisa, how can people contact you and sign up for your programs?
They can go to my website, secondactcoaching.com. They can email me at lisa.secondact@gmail.com. And they can sign up for a free discovery call to learn more. And I have a future self meditation on my website, which is a free gift, so that people can imagine themselves with everything they've ever wanted, hope for the future. And then my ebook is free. They can download, which I've had reviewed by many people, and it has provided a lot of comfort.
Well, thank you so much. We'll have to have you on again.
I would love to.
And
stay on, Lisa, because we're I need to talk to you afterwards and pass on my credit card information, because I think we're going to be talking some more. But no, that's
thank you so much.
Yeah, hang on, and I'll be back in Cincinnati next week. And Peggy, are you back home? Or are you still up at your cabin digging out of
Does
snow?
Does this look like my cabin?
It's dark. Okay, I can't tell.
You were in my bedroom last week.
Let's keep our personal. Let's keep the
the details.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
TMI.
Hey, Lisa, hang in there or stay on, and Peggy, you're the best, and we'll see everyone next week. Have a great one, everyone. See ya.